Hello, everybody. Welcome to TYT Sports NBA Finals Game 4. There is a lot of storylines that came from this game, including LeBron James's penis, but we'll get to that in a little bit because I need to pump everybody up. It is Friday. It is a great day entering the weekend where we will see Game 5 on Sunday. But before that,
when are we going to start?
We're going to start right now.
Oh, were you already talking?
Yeah, I was already talking about
didn't realize.
Ben, you don't seem energized enough, so I'm going to throw to a quick video of Ric Flair to get you in the zone.
All right.
He's about the same age as you, actually.
We're in the house of the Cavaliers, and I'm a limousine ride. Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, son of a gun, just having a hard time keeping the alligators on. Woo! LBJ, I love you. You are the man. Let's do it. Woo!
LBJ is LeBron James, not Lyndon B. Johnson, Ben.
What does the B in Lyndon Johnson stand for, young one?
Brandon.
Brandon. Jesus. Baines!
But did anybody? Am I the only one that doesn't?
Actually,
doesn't
you don't
understand?
have to know it.
I
You're
don't
Irish.
understand it.
But he has to know.
Has to?
You should know.
I should know.
Do you understand what he's saying in that, though?
Not really any of it. I did like his dance move, and of course the staple to his name.
Now,
Woo!
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing about Ric Flair. See, here's why everybody should feel, what is happening with that little strand of sexiness? Huh? Whatever. We're gonna live with it. So the Ric Flair, I saw him do this. Jim Harbaugh brought him in, I think, for the Niners one time. He's not from Cleveland. I don't think he's a Cavaliers fan. I'm just looking him up, and he's from Memphis. He lives in Charlotte, right? I think he might be a Panther fan. I think if I recall, that's true, and they brought him in once. Like, hiring Ric Flair to fire you up, that's not a real thing. Like, fandom is fandom. Like, and fans don't like bandwagon fans, right? None of us do. We don't want to, so this Ric Flair, this is all nonsense. Having Ric Flair there, it's wildly inauthentic. I would hate it if I were a legitimate Cavalier fan.
But it got you fired up.
No, yeah, it got me fired up. But also, he's not even that fired up. I mean, he was like, woo.
Well, he can't articulate, which is
because he doesn't believe it. Like he's a motivational speaker essentially now, who's now contracted out by sports teams to fire up the crowd.
That's weird.
What do you need to be fake fired up for before Game 4 of the NBA Finals, where you're unbelievably ahead 2-1? I don't blame Ric Flair for taking the money. No. I got no beef with Ric Flair. He found a gig. Why would you hire him? Why would you hire him unless he's a Grizzly fan or a Panther fan? Then great. Otherwise, it's out.
I feel like it'd be a much better case if you got an authentic fan who maybe is a trademark for the team. Like, who's the guy? Is it Clipper
Darrell.
Clipper Darrell, that's it. Like, well, if you got him up there for the Clippers, I'm guessing the Clippers fans would be pretty pissed if they brought up someone who had just suddenly became a fan of theirs to start motivating them just because he's a famous name. Be a little bit better of a message if you got someone like the team's trademark fan, like a Clipper Darrell.
If the Wizards go to the finals next year, the Bullets go to the finals next year, and frickin' Ric Flair shows up before a game, I'm going to be pissed.
Who would you like to see show up for the Wizards?
Fans of the team.
Right.
Okay.
You know.
Gilbert Arenas?
I would. By the way, yes, if Gilbert Arenas comes out there, he'd get a thunderous applause. That would be great. Gilbert Arenas, wildly misunderstood. Fun, crazy person, Gilbert Arenas.
All right. Well, we move forward. Game 4. Warriors take it 103-82. The Warriors look good. The Cavaliers' backcourt looks like what we expected the Cavaliers' backcourt to go and look in this series in the first place. Dellevedova, Smith, and Shumpert struggled. They double-teamed LeBron really for the first time all game long, so he couldn't crash the lane. And Steve Kerr ran one of my favorite lineups I've seen in NBA history, where you put Draymond Green at center, the small, fast transition lineup.
You see a couple things that happened with this lineup that I thought were really. Did you watch the game?
Yeah.
A couple of things that I thought were really interesting. First of all, and I find this to be true when I play pickup basketball, and I'm a former great defensive player and now not good at anything. But I still try on defense. Yeah. But when I'm matched up against someone who's better and bigger than I am, 9 times out of 10, they don't have, the other team will recognize that and force post moves. And they'll give it to this guy in the post. He doesn't really know what to do with it. I take them out of their offense just by them trying to take advantage of my 2 weaknesses, which are A, weakness, and B, height. But they miss because it's out of their game. And even though Mozgov had a great game, like at times when they needed a bucket, they would just go to him like oh, this is going to work, this is going to work. And then he's like, well, I'm not really, I'm not Kareem. I'm not dominant with the post moves. And it takes them out of their game. So I think sometimes even the weakness, the team will try to exploit the weakness to their own detriment sometimes by taking themselves out of their offense.
I agree with that. Also, Mozgov, 28 points and 10 rebounds, and he made some big shots when he absolutely needed to. If Mozgov was falling into the form that the backcourt was, it would have been 103 to 60. I mean, he really did step up, and he was LeBron's only go-to
Yeah, because they had the matchup advantage, and it worked a little, but it was part of taking them out of their offense.
Part of that matchup advantage, which we discussed in the preview clip, was we knew to a certain extent that Harrison Barnes was going to get abused by LeBron James just because of the physical size of LeBron. Kerr sat Barnes. I'm sorry, Barnes still started, but took him off of LeBron. Andre Iguodala starts, turns back the clock, and plays an unbelievable game. His three started falling. He had 22 points, shot 50% from the field, had 8 rebounds. Iguodala really gave him a spark that was needed, and we still haven't seen Steph Curry play an MVP game. He was 4 of 7 from 3. It looks like he's starting to get accustomed to the NBA Finals pressure. At least he's got a few games under his belt.
I don't think that has anything to do with it.
I think that has a ton to do with it, and I think that's a part of the reason that the Cavs were able to take 2 of these games.
What about people who come up in their first NBA Finals and hit 8 of 11 from 3 in their first 2 games? I mean, it happens. Were they not nervous, and he was? He just missed. Sometimes you miss.
Yeah, it does happen with shooters. But, again, it's a young, inexperienced team.
Yeah. Here's what they've done, though, real quick.
Not Iguodala. He's got experience.
But they, Nate Silver at 538 had some great numbers this morning. The Warriors were the had the best true shooting percentage of any team in the league this year.
Yes.
True shooting percentage, which factors in free throws and three-pointers to give you and they led the league. This was the first game in the finals that they came close to their true shooting percentage. This is the first, so they didn't even shoot the lights out. In this game. They just shot what they shot for the season. They have a tremendously great record when they have what would be called a good shooting day.
Right.
But when they are an average shooting team, the league average shooting team, I think they went 17-4 this year. Like, they're pretty good anyway, even when they don't shoot the ball that well, and that's because they play great defense. And as Silver points out, and there's a great piece in 538 today, in 2 of the 4 games, the Cavaliers have had true shooting percentages below inside the 10th percentile of the league, meaning they've had horrific games. One of them they were in the 6th percentile, and then I think last night they were in the 1st percentile. So their defense totally shut them down. And then another game, game 1, which the Cavaliers have managed to win. Maybe it wasn't even game 1. Maybe they were in the 6th percentile of the game they won. Remarkably, because they had such a huge turnover and rebounding advantage, and that can overcome a bad shooting. But another game, they were in the 21st percentile. So the Warriors' defense in 3 of the 4 games has been good. In 2 of the games, it's been phenomenal.
Right.
And that's why they'll win the series. They don't have to shoot well to win. They just have to shoot okay to win.
Well, that and a simple point that you don't need to be a thorough basketball fan to notice. Can Cleveland just not take LeBron James out? Because when he comes out...
One of the big points from that we learned from this game is no, they can't.
That to me is mind-blowing. Like, I understand you have one focused player, and LeBron James, the phenomenal player that he is, you build your offense around him, and he's essential to it. But even for a breather, they just look lackluster without him. Like, that's what I take away from this game. And you don't need to be, as I said, a basketball tactician to notice that. You take him out, and it looked as if Golden State, their confidence risen, if not more so than what they already had done. And I think that is going to be a tipping point, surely, in the series.
Absolutely.
Again, this is where the injuries matter, is that the Cavaliers probably, when Irving and Love were playing and healthy, there were probably never a moment when one of them wasn't on the floor. In fact, that was true last year for the last bunch of years for the Heat, too, unless more than one of them was hurt or the game was obviously undecided. It made me wonder whether the game was decided. Made me wonder whether the Cavaliers, when they take LeBron out, should just take 24-second violations. Because, like,
burn the clock.
The great thing about that is at least it wears the clock down, right? That's the great thing about that.
So the thing with LeBron James and this series is it doesn't really look like he is so much gassed or tired. No. It looks like the rest of the team is extremely tired. And I find that now we've seen 4 games, which it's tough after games 1 and 2 to even make these jump to conclusion judgments. just because you see only one side how they adjust. Now we're 4 games in. We've seen adjustments made. We've seen different lineups used. The Cavs don't really have any different lineups. They have about 7 players. Yeah. Sean Marion and Mike Miller are now pissed off at Coach David Blatt for veterans not getting experience.
For veterans not getting playing time.
Playing time, I'm sorry, right. Yes. Yeah. Now the series shifts back to Golden State. Golden State has home court advantage. Do we think this series ends really in 6?
Well, I mean, I thought the Warriors were going to win throughout. I just don't think that one player, great as he can lift an entire team. And then we saw him lift them in 2 games and nearly 3 games. Yeah. You know, really nearly game 1 until, although he did have help from Irving in game 1. So, you know, I think, you know, look, predictions are meaningless. Mm-hmm. I think the Warriors will win the series, but in the back of my mind, do I think LeBron is capable of lifting to win 2 out of 3 games by himself, especially with the nice extra day of rest?
Yes,
they're about to get here.
A huge part of this.
I think it's possible, but I think I'm a betting person, and I think the smart money is on the Warriors. I put a little something on them in the series when they were down 2-1. I had them last night. Bet. You know, I just think last night's blowout you could see coming. You could smell coming. That's what's happened before.
I think I might just pay LeBron his biggest compliment here is that I had a full clip in which I ranted about Lionel Messi for about 3 minutes about how he's the best athlete to have ever played any sport because of his ability to influence a game which has 11 players on his own. LeBron James, for me, since I've watched this finals, and I've watched every NBA finals, I do admit that more often than not I'll tune in towards the end of the 3rd quarter and watch the 4th because that's just a habit.
There are a lot of NBA fans who do that.
Exactly, and I'll admit it. I'm not going to say I don't. But watching LeBron James has made me categorize him in that very similar category, because it's just, he's so dominant for his team. Not just, I would like to say that he brings others around him up, but he doesn't really because he has to do it on his own. Like, it's the same idea that Messi is so fantastic in his own sport that he'll do it on his own, but then he'll bring others around him. And he has got guys like Neymar and Suarez who are phenomenal. LeBron James has lost his main, the main arsenal that accompanied him in the finals. You know, was Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. And he's still managing to compete at this level, which is frighteningly good.
You just made the point. He doesn't have his Neymar and Suarez in this situation. His Kevin Love, his Kyrie Irving are out.
His backbone, someone to fall back on if he happens to not shoot as well for a quarter or something like that. But he's got that pressure. He needs to continually shoot his lights out, as you said.
And the hope now for the Cavs is now you really need J.R. Smith, the streaky shooter, to come off the bench and score 28 points like he did in the Eastern Conference Finals in one of those games if they are to really stand a chance. Again, as we've mentioned, how much could you actually predict? Nothing.
They have a puncher's chance, but I think it's going to be...
It's the beauty of the finals.
What's interesting is that we can watch, real quick, you can watch 3 games where the games are, you know, they're incredibly close. In each game, Cleveland has a lead, blows it. That scenario didn't quite play out exactly as that in game 1. And then you see one game that went more along the route of what you expected it to be.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. Like, we ignore the 3 pieces of evidence that we have before, and we rely on this. But the true shooting percentage convinces me. All the Warriors got to do is shoot like an average NBA team, and they'll win this series.
Yes. I do agree with that. I want to throw to one Steve Kerr press conference because I think it was pretty funny. I think Steve Kerr is a very likable coach, and I think he's going to continue to be a great coach for the Warriors and hopefully the rest of his career. Let's take a look at the press conference he had after the game.
I lied. No, I did. I mean, I lied. So, I figure I have 2 press conferences on the day of the game. My options were tell the truth. If I tell the truth, it's the equivalent of me knocking on David Blatt's door and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. I could evade the question, which would start this, Twitter phenomenon. Who's going to start for the Warriors? Or I could lie. So I lied. Sorry. But I don't think they hand you the trophy based on morality. They give it to you if you win.
That was in reference to Steve Kerr not giving out the true information of the starting lineup because he didn't want David Blatt to know that Bogut would not be starting. And then a great tweet came out after the game. I believe Darren Rovell was the one who tweeted it for us, saying how the news was broken to Andrew Bogut from Steve Kerr that he wouldn't be starting. Quote, "You're not starting." So Steve Kerr, his Warriors, I guess, have the advantage at this point in the series. But what was the biggest or potentially smallest story?
LeBron James not wearing a headband?
No? Close? Ben? Say it.
Nope.
Gotta say it.
Not going to do it.
Gotta say it.
You don't say
Not
penis
gonna
on
do
an
it.
airplane.
All right. Well, you just did. LeBron James' wiener, his Dilsnick, was captured accidentally by the ABC broadcast. This is right before the game started when they're walking on the court for tip-off. And we pixelated it out because we have to. Sorry, guys and girls on YouTube. That's just how the community guidelines work. But they captured, you know, in today's day of digital media, Twitter, Deadspins, and blogs and everything, that was probably 5 frames that were captured by somebody, and someone's like, penis! Yeah. LeBron's wiener!
I'm so intrigued to know what you think about this, Ben. Because I know your views on how everything is just so...
For this whole clip, you've been thinking
basically
of something.
quantified the fact that this minor glitch in camera work could just be caught and now portrayed in slow motion.
Right. But we're part of the very thing that you're decrying. Like, if we really don't want to do it, then don't do it. And don't talk about it.
Well...
But you want to do it because we all like to do it, and we're like, oh, look, I mean, first of all, we live in a very strange world where in R-rated movies we can see naked women, but we can't see naked men.
Yes.
Right? So, like, everybody just calm down. It's part of his body, and he was adjusting, and it caught for, again, whatever it was, 5 frames. Like, it would be nice if we lived in a world where no one framed that and thought it was hilarious, but that's what we're talking about today as a country in part, and it's silly. The whole thing is embarrassing. That said, I don't want to be the you know, super cranky old man, but I guess I am. It's just it's a little silly, and I feel bad for him and whatever. He was just, but who cares? We shouldn't care. You have one, and I have one, and all right.
Well, there you have it.
Fuck off.
There is a reason why we are not mentioning LeBron James's head injury. We have that saved for another clip, so make sure to stick around and watch that one. Excuse me, as I just swallowed my own coffee.
Penis.
There's a reason why we have not mentioned LeBron James' head injury, the whole cameraman incident, in which Andrew Bogut had some interesting words for LeBron after the game. We have that for another clip, so make sure to stick around and watch that. What do you guys think of the NBA Finals Game 4, and who do you think wins Game 5 back at Oracle Arena on Sunday night? Leave us your thoughts in the comment section below. Francis Maxwell at Francis_Maxwell. Ben Mank at Cranky Old Man. Jason Rubin at JasonRubin91. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.
At Francis_I have a penis, Maxwell.